Southern San Andreas houses many districts within, from the countryside to the ghettos of the city. All have their own pros and cons, but which is the best place to live overall, in terms of quality of life, cost of living, and more. Today we find out. Subscribe to become a follower, thanks to my channel members, and let's dive in. Starting off modest, we have Davis. Davis is a rather poor area of Los Santos. It's known to house many gangs, and the crime rate in Davis is definitely one of the higher ones around the state. Unfortunately, it seems that the area is a food desert as well. If you want healthy options to eat, then you are limited to cooking healthy food at home after buying groceries from the store. Many fast food chains are present in the area, which provide entry-level jobs for high schoolers, but can also serve as a place to hang out for some. Davis does have its own dedicated police department, which is definitely helpful. The courthouse is also situated in Davis, as well as a major hospital. There's an arcade that opened up sometime during 2019, which once again provides an area for younger folks to hang out without the worry of being troubled by any mischiefs. A bail enforcement office also recently opened up next to the barber shop, which in and of itself is known to be one of the biggest pieces of communal activity. The Los Santos Metro also runs in the district, giving easy access to different parts of the city at a low cost, which could mean that you might be able to go without a car in Davis. But now let's talk housing. It's almost certainly one of the cheapest in the state because of its circumstances. There are many apartment complexes in the district as well as single-family homes. You are in very close proximity to downtown Los Santos and pretty much every other district in the city as well, but the gang activity and high crime rate overall lower the score quite a bit. Overall, I would not recommend living here even with its low cost of living. This is a bad place to raise children and a bad place to grow old as well. If you're on a budget, there are better places to live, and Davis has to be on the bottom of the list so far. If you live here, you've likely been born here and you've lived here all your life and you don't have enough to move out, or some other scenario, but I would not recommend ever moving here. Next up, we have Burro Heights. Burro Heights is to the southeast of Los Santos and is a reasonably okay place to live. Sure, of course there's gang activity here, which you should get used to, by the way, because only a couple of districts have no gang activity whatsoever, but for the most part it's alright. There isn't really anything going on here though. There's a tattoo parlor and that's about it as far as communal spaces. The oil fields are nearby though, and the industrial area is also close by, which both provide reliable jobs for the most part. It seems that Burro Heights is a place to come home to after work, eat, sleep, and leave for work again. You definitely aren't inviting people over, and if you are, they may be let down by the accommodations. This is just an out-of-the-way district that is cheap to live in and nothing more. It's also worth noting that since there aren't any apartment complexes, you will need to rent a home in the area, which shouldn't be too hard because not many people want to live here. The homes range from okay to how is this habitable for a human, but all are very affordable. As long as you stay to yourself in this district, however, you'll probably be fine. Lester lives here and he isn't what I would describe as an athletic human, and he's just fine. There also isn't any public transport in the area, so a car is definitely needed to commute to work. Overall, I would live here if I had one goal: save as much money as possible by finding a place to simply eat and sleep in, nothing more, nothing less. Although if that was my goal, I would probably just be a roommate with someone, but the option is there. Mirror Park is a nice suburb situated just to the east of downtown Los Santos. It does seem that it has suffered from gentrification, but if you have the funds to live here, I definitely would consider it. There are many local businesses in the area like coffee shops, a barber shop, a gas station, and a mechanic shop, although most residents likely don't work at any of these establishments. Due to its close proximity to the city, people likely commute to work instead of working at these local businesses. The homes in the area are also quite nice. Mirror Park is a relatively new suburb in Los Santos, so it was built with modern trends and technology, although that comes with a hefty price and lots of demand. There is also a nice lake situated in the middle of the suburb where I assume you can go kayaking. The people here are most definitely Mirror Park's biggest con, however, as most of them are self-centered millennials who work at tech companies and buy trucks just to go to the supermarket every so often. There are, however, many homes for sale in the area. I'd say actually about 15% of the homes in Mirror Park are for sale, which means one of two things: people don't have the money to live here, which could be likely, or people don't want to deal with the lifestyle of living in Mirror Park. But if you can get past the residents, then Mirror Park has to be one of the better places to live. There isn't any gang activity as the area is far too wealthy to allow it. Police would be all over it in a heartbeat, and it's in close proximity to the Diamond Casino and a resort as well, which is a nice added bonus. Overall, Mirror Park is a nice place to live if you have the prerequisites already, meaning you make a good amount of money, are able to get past the residents being a potential downside, and are able to find a home for sale or rent in the area, which shouldn't be too hard. Still, there are better places that exist in the city. West Vinewood is a somewhat old district of Los Santos, as you can tell by the architecture. Many of these buildings wouldn't be allowed to be made with today's regulations, like the infamous Dingbat apartment building. You've probably seen these before, but they usually consist of of parking below the units, which allows for a condensed property with the added amenity of parking, which became a necessity as cars became more popular. However, these buildings likely wouldn't hold up too well to Los Santos' all too familiar earthquakes. The living expenses here are a bit of a mixed bag though. Most of these homes are development, and there are no actual houses in West Vinewood. This is very much a district where living spaces are shared, so apartments are really your only way to go here. This means that most residents are likely couples without children or loners because there isn't really enough space in this area to raise a family. West Vinewood is situated very close to downtown Los Santos, however. You really can't get closer than this unless you want to pay for a high rise in the city. The rent prices reflect that, however, so you will still need a decent amount of capital to live here. There are many businesses in West Vinewood as it is near the main strip of Vinewood Boulevard. These businesses mostly entail entertainment and food, however. Not many mechanic shops or trade stores are in the area. You can, however, find other businesses if you go a bit out of the beaten path of West Vinewood and can find a barber shop, a tattoo shop, multiple clothing stores, a mall nearby called the Rockford Plaza, although that is separated from West Vinewood courtesy of Hawick Avenue that separates West Vinewood from the city. Availability thankfully isn't too bad in West Vinewood as well. There are many apartments available for rent at reasonable prices. Gang activity isn't necessarily present in the area, but one should still be cautious in West Vinewood. There are endless amounts of street thugs that are looking for their next payday from West Vinewood residents, whether that be a plain old robbery or stealing the wheels off your Chavos V6 or Minimus. It happens in the area. Overall, West Vinewood is a decent place to live that is affordable with many amenities, but in a big city and especially an active district like West Vinewood, you should always be cautious of who you speak to and always keep your head on a swivel. The last thing you want to happen is to end up on Weasel News for trying to go about your day. The Vinewood Hills is the picturesque place to live for many. Sitting in a big empty mansion in the hills while you look down on all of those who are less fortunate than you sounds like a dream for many. There aren't any real cons to living in the Vinewood Hills. I will say that if you are a person of status, you should be wary of who is nearby you at all times, but you probably already know that and likely have security as well. The people who live here have reached a pinnacle in their respective field, and most of the time that's acting or crypto scamming, but still a pinnacle nonetheless. The homes here are very nice and very expensive as well, not just to initially buy but also to insure, because fires are quite a concern in the hills. It turns out just because you paid your insurance on time for 5 years straight doesn't mean they'll pay you out if a disaster happens. You need to be very careful about which home you buy because of that. As for amenities, there aren't many, but the city is pretty close, so you can drive over to get your daily dose of the public in your brand new Nuss Jubilee with 500 miles on it. You can go for a hike on one of the many trails in the hills in your workout clothes that cost way too much to be made by a child overseas. You can visit the Galileo Observatory and use a scope to spy on the peasants in the city who can't afford to be at the top. But that's about it. Overall, if you would be able to afford to live here, I'd say it's a good idea. Sort of. You're paying an enormous amount of money for a big house just for you and maybe your spouse to live in, but per dollar value, I'd say this isn't the place to live. You've got to be a certain type of person to live here, and most people think they are until they realize they aren't. Vespucci Beach is truly a nice part of town to live in. The Del Perro Pier is nearby, as well as the beach obviously, and along with it, the Vespucci Boardwalk as well. And just because you live in Vespucci Beach doesn't mean you live in a beach house worth more than your entire bloodline's net worth. You can also find somewhat affordable housing in Vespucci Beach, and it really starts to make sense once you split the rent with others. Most places come with parking for tenants, which is always nice, and some are even gated for added protection. Local businesses are plentiful in the area, like a tattoo shop, many cafes and bakeries, a pizza shop, and 2 clothing stores. The Del Perro Police Department is also nearby and would be the one protecting the area, which is always nice to have. There's also a nearby nightclub franchised by Tony Prince, so if dancing is your thing, then that is available for you as well. There's really no gang activity here, but in its place are crackheads, which might be the same if not a bit worse than gangs, because you just never know what they're gonna do. If you have a boat, the marina is also nearby. Just make sure you never let your son borrow it and you should be all good there. The district is also very close to downtown Los Santos once again, so commuting to work in a vehicle sounds like something you'll be doing, unless you want to lose some calories from burger shot and walk instead. Overall, Vespucci Beach is a decent place to live. I'd say it's right in the middle for a district, not too much crime, it's not the nicest but far from the worst looking, has its own police department, and is relatively affordable. All of those perks make it a place I would greatly consider living in. Chumash maintains most of the benefits of Vespucci Beach without all the hustle and bustle of the city. It's out of the way, and that would make you think that it may be lacking on the amenities, but you would be surprised. Chumash has a plaza, and within it are many useful stores like a hardware store, a clothing store, a tattoo shop, a gun shop even, a general store, a post office, and a small bank franchise. One could live here and not really leave if they tried. You got all the basic amenities here, and you're far from the city, so at this point a drive there likely wouldn't make sense just to get some P&Qs. The houses are pretty nice and situated usually on the actual beach itself, sitting on top of stilts. This is a bit concerning if global warming continues its course, but you're not worried about the long run, are you? The homes are still expensive because you are on a beach, far away from the city, which is an added bonus for many people. But for many of the residents here, these homes are a second, sometimes third home for them. They go here to get away from the drama of the city, and I can't blame them. It has a nice pier that you could fish off of, and you could also launch a jet ski into the ocean if you get tired of land. Overall, Chumash is actually a nice area to live in, but you probably can't have kids in the area. There isn't too much to do except lounge inside all day. This is for singles or maybe couples who want to relax and live a quiet life but still retain some modern amenities. Sandy Shores is a town that is quite frankly past its prime. Sure, it was a nice area to live in at some point in time, but that time is no more. Now the only residents here are hillbillies and drug runners looking for a place to operate without being bothered, and they won't if they live here. The sheriffs here are almost certainly corrupt, so don't piss them off if you'd like to keep living on this planet we call Earth. The homes in the area are what you would expect, falling apart and barely habitable to live in even for humans. One doesn't move to Sandy unless they've truly hit rock bottom and want to see if the floor can get any lower. There aren't many amenities here besides the usual tattoo shop, barbershop, gun store because this is the countryside after all, and a couple of convenience stores as well. It does have the Harmony Strip, which looks okay I guess, but I still wouldn't feel a tad bit safe there as I wouldn't in any part of Sandy. Not only would I not recommend living here, I would actively avoid ever stepping foot here, literally and figuratively, because there might be some weird stuff on the floor. Let's just say you don't want to get on your foot. Job opportunities are almost non-existent here also. You can't really work at any of these businesses because they already have employees who settle for the $1.50 an hour they probably pay, and they don't want to replace them. Overall, the only way I would ever live in Sandy is if somebody told me I would die otherwise, and even then this town likely would end me first. It's a dangerous town that is overrun by criminals and corrupt officials who let a once beautiful tropical getaway resort town drift off into what it is now. Grapeseed is a small farm town to the northern part of Southern San Andreas. It's a quiet place to live with not much going on except family and work, and for some people, they wouldn't have it any other way. This is a way of life for the locals here. They work hard, they come home, eat food, spend some time with families, and do it all again the next day. If you've only ever lived in cities, this would be a hard adjustment to make. You almost have to learn how to live again, but small towns like Grapeseed ask one thing of you and nothing more. You work hard and the town will work hard for you. The homes in the area are very old because this is a very old farm town with infrastructure that is dated at this point, but that just means affordability. A single family home here won't run you much, and there is one for sale. It's located on 1893 Grapeseed Avenue, which is the main strip of Grapeseed, and comes with a 2-car garage as well. Inside the home isn't the nicest, but with some love and care, it will look good. And it's not like there's nothing to do in Grapeseed either. There's an arcade in the area that opened a few years ago, and the kids could run in the fields without the fear of being kidnapped. In a town like Grapeseed also, crime is very low because everybody knows each other. If you did something wrong, everyone in the town will almost certainly find out about it. Usually people live here not by choice, but because they were born here, and they will continue that tradition until they pass away. Overall, Grapeseed seems like a decent place to live. It's small, not much to do other than work, but for some people, that sounds like a dream. Paleto Bay is situated to the very north of Southern San Andreas. Like Grapeseed, it being very remote is a bonus because that means not much crime from locals. But unfortunately, that doesn't mean no crime at all. A cartel has recently started packing and shipping drugs out of the Cluckenbell farm nearby, which provides many jobs for locals and is also connected to the station, which provides revenue for the district. Unfortunately, it seems that corruption may have played a role here because officials know what is going on but choose to not do anything according to inside reports. The houses here are reasonably nice and also very affordable. There are 3 available on the market and they're all pretty nice. 2 of them even come with a 6-car garage as well. Amenities in Paleto Bay are rather basic, but it still has a gun store, a tattoo shop, a barber shop, a clothing store, an auto shop, and an arcade for funsies. The residents for the most part seem to be good people who work hard and would rather live a slow, peaceful life here in Paleto than a busy, drama-filled life in Los Santos. You could fish, run on the trails, attempt to hike to the peak of Mount Chiliad, and exploring nature in general. Once again, city folks will need adjusting, but it's not like there's no civilization here. There's just less of it, so it should be rather seamless. It does have its own sheriff's department, but it may be slightly corrupt, so once again, don't step on the sheriff's toes. This is the type of town where the lawyer and the judge are friends and go golfing on the weekend. The mechanics and factory workers know each other and are likely related. It's a nice middle ground between Grapeseed and Los Santos in my opinion. Overall, I would actually live here, maybe the most likely district out of all inside Southern San Andreas. It's a slower pace of living, but not extremely. There are people here and you can make friends with the locals rather quickly by just being a nice person. It's affordable with the basic amenities with some others like the arcade. It's not a bad place to live, and that seems to be the sentiment between GTA Online players. They would live here in real life because it just makes sense, and I completely agree with that. But where would you live across Southern San Andreas? Thank you all for watching, I greatly appreciate it. Please subscribe before you leave if you enjoyed yourself here because you made it to the end, so you must love me, right? No? Okay. Thank you to my channel members, which for the month of September are as follows. Thank you to Joshua, Agent, PAARTHUR, Agaro, Nekoshi, Karso, KOIAER, and Anawack. I greatly appreciate you guys. I appreciate you all. Please have a great day or night or evening, and I'll see you all later. Goodbye. Hey. Hey, look. Hey, look. Hey, look. You better subscribe, because if you do not, I might cry. You better subscribe. I ran up the bands in GTA 5. You better subscribe, because if you do not, you might cry. You better subscribe, because if you don't, I might die. You better subscribe. I'm about to go crazy on the beat. You better subscribe. Hey, wait for the beat to drop. Ooh, you better subscribe. Hey, you better subscribe. I'm out of breath. You better subscribe.